Okay, introducing our second set of presenters for the afternoon. I'm going to call up our fellow board member, Yvonne Hotsack, to do the introduction.
Thank you, James. I have the pleasure of introducing Lisa Washington, who I just met at the Yorkton Film Festival. And I'll just go ahead here. In 2010, Lisa left the community-based mental health sector for a newly creative position in community development manager with the City of Yorkton. She brought with her several decades of experience in managing roles of various nonprofits, in addition to a lifelong love of the arts. As the population of Yorkton changed, the position evolved into the manager of community, culture, and heritage. In this role, she actively involved in a leadership capacity in community initiatives that are related, community, culture, and heritage, and ensures wholesome community engagement. She also works with newcomers and ensures ongoing community education and connections between the community and newcomers. She says, P.S., she's not an artist. Thanks to the strong community participation, Yorkton has ranked in the top 10 across Canada of smaller communities hosting culture days. Lisa will share her experience in building partnerships and engaging community in culture days and keeping up momentum all year long. Join me in welcoming Lisa.
Yvonne's right. I did meet her at Yorkton Film Festival. I'd like to say it was in a very crucial role, but it wasn't. I toss salad for Lobster Fest. But it is a good way to make connections. So I'd like to thank SaskCulture and Holy Crow. When I got the call to do this, I said to Dean, like, why? And he said, because you have a lot to say. And I said, really? Like it's an hour? And he encouraged me. He said, yeah, I have a lot to say. And so thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for the confidence. And I now have a timer because it turns out I do have a lot to say. I'll start off. Culture Days is 15 years old. It's celebrating its 15th year this year. And I wasn't aware of it until, I started in 2010, and that was community. It was just community. But now I'm getting ahead of myself. I was telling Dean, every time I do this, I add more. So I'll back up a little bit. Yes, Yorkton was in the top 10 in 2022. We were recognized nationally. I thought that was really cool. A big shout out to Larry Perrin, who's here. He's standing for election. His organization, the Yorkton Brick Mill Heritage Society, is a big partner on that with us. And then in 2023, we were top 10 again. And we were surprised, but we were number 2. So we've been going up. And I was invited, well, I kind of put the bug in Shannon Bowler's ear. She's the executive director with Culture Days nationally. And I had said, there's St. John's is having a national conference. If you want to talk about Culture Days, because she was a moderator there, I said, tap me on the shoulder. We'll see what can happen. So last year I was part of a national panel with the City of St. Catharines and Kelowna to talk about Culture Days and how municipalities need to get involved and how to do it. I do have some slides, and I'm not sure. Oh, I thought it was going to be loaded. One moment. Because I not only can talk a lot, I have a lot of slides.
Just this one?
Yes, please. we go. Thank you very much. Which one do I push? Thank you. So a little bit about myself. I have 3 sons. They're in their almost in their 20s now. And I say I'm not an artist, but I know the value of arts and culture because in our family, we said to them, when it comes to your activities, you choose one sport, one arts or culture. No more because it's just me doing the driving. And so we had kids involved in debate, theater, music. One of them did try to encourage me and challenge me on golf is indeed an art. Guess which one did well in debate, even though he didn't win that argument. So I'm also a board member of the East Central Newcomer Welcome Center, Yorkton and District Community Foundation, Parkland Valley Sport Culture Recreation District, the Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan, and East Central Saskatchewan Immigration Partnership. This isn't in terms of giving my, ooh, this is how great I am. This is significant for Culture Days. And a volunteer with Yorkton Film Festival. So to give context to this, I'll give you a little bit of information about Yorkton and the history of Culture Days in our community. Yorkton is on the east side of the province and approximately 16,000 to 19,000 residents, depending where you look. What stats you're trying to find, it's different all the time. And so we're also a small city surrounded by farming communities. Now, when we talk Culture Days in our community, I have what we call the heavy hitters. They've been there ever since Culture Days has hit my radar. Yorkton Film Festival, the longest running film festival in North America. And honestly, if your organization has not tapped into some of their outreach programs and done some partnership, you are missing out. Randy Golden is a gem in our community. She's not only a counselor, and has been for many years. She is a well-connected individual and she can see where partnerships can grow and flourish. She has a festival coordinator, Tanika Walker, and you'll learn more about her later. Another heavy hitter is Yorkton Arts Council. Tanya Vermette, if anybody's here from Moose Jaw, keep your eyes open. Our community is losing her. She is moving to Moose Jaw. I'm so sad. Our cultural community is grieving. Having said that, we have a new person stepping into that position, Abanti Banerjee. You'll hear more about her also. Free My Muse, it's a theater company and it has classes for young children. Carrie Pangilli, she jokingly said she's a gift to our community when I first met her. And she truly is a gift to our community. And then also Yorkton, Tourism Yorkton. These have been longstanding, first to the table people, organizations with Culture Days in our community. Randy Golden is a part-time executive director also for Tourism Yorkton. So what I did with respect to finding out what Culture Days has done or how it has occurred here in Yorkton, I actually had to go through our files, couldn't find much, went to Yorkton Film Festival, they gave me this, and then also Googled, because in my capacity as the manager, as community development manager at that point, I was told, this is a community thing. You don't have to worry about it. Just get people connected to SaskCulture. They have the funding for events. They have the funding for hubs, which are virtually, if you ever need to know about hub funding, sometimes it's hard to explain, but holy smokes, anybody at SaskCulture can do a good job. And a big shout out to Baseo and Shelley Fayon. They've helped me wrap my head around that over the years. So the first inkling of Culture Days was in 2011, and it was a one-day event hosted by Yorkton Film Festival and Tourism Yorkton. They hired that artist, Carrie Pangilli, and she organized a one-day. They tied this into their 65th anniversary of the Yorkton Film Festival. So they're already taking existing activities, celebrations, getting it hooked into Culture Days. At that point, Culture Days nationally was only 3 days. Keep this in mind for a farming community. In 2012, the only sniff of Culture Days I could find was online, and it was a newspaper article about an upcoming one that WDM hosted in partnership with Yorkton Film Festival and Partners in Settlement and Integration. At that point, that was the settlement services. It was run out of it was a Saskabilities. And since then it's evolved and I've become a bit more involved with that. But the Newcomer Welcome Center used that day to promote their services and their Festival of Cultures, which was scheduled in November of that year for Multicultural Week. So some of these players are starting to make the connection about culture happens all the time. So in 2013, 2014, couldn't find anything, nothing much going on, aside from, I met this gentleman. This is Kevin Powers, a dynamic individual that was brought in. He was one of 3 SaskCulture animateurs, part of a Culture Days team that traveled the province in 2014, capturing the stories of Saskatchewan people. I met him a little bit later in Saskatoon. I'm actually on a podcast with him. I think it's SaskScapes podcast. So yeah, you can look up, I'm on 2 of those. It's like I had more to say then too. So keep this in mind though, the whole animateur piece. I thought, oh, okay, that came into play later on for us in Yorkton. In 2015, there was an event. I saw from the SaskCulture website that there were 2 hubs that were funded from the Culture Days website. We got some, and we paid for a piper, a mascot, advertising, and promotions for our heavy hitters. And you can, hard to see, but there's actually a person piping, and there was a mascot from Free My Muse that we got, a caterpillar, and we paraded down a couple streets in Yorkton and then had a flag raising. And this is in 2016. Yorkton Arts Council, Free My Muse, and the Yorkton Film Festival with our mayors at that time. And Randy Golden's in that picture also. It was a 1-day event with a photography workshop, monologue performance, mini cinemas, acting workshop, drumming workshop, and a free concert by Andino Sons. Yorkton Arts Council found extra funding in order to host a free concert, which was terrific because Culture Days events at that time were supposed to be free. And I'll speak to that in a little bit also. And also with the SaskCulture website, there was hub funding for Big Brothers and Sisters of Yorkton area and funding for an event at the Yorkton Public Library through the Parkland Regional Library. So there were 2 types of funding, the events and the hub. So techie person, I don't know how to play this. I'm not used to this type of, thank you. I'm used to a surface, hey, where I can just poke it. But I'd like you to pay attention to the information that's going out and the look and feel of it. Okay, just how do I play a video?
Should.
No, it's the video is here. Okay, so I have to do that one. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there audio for the video?
No, not for this one. And that was from Yorkton Arts Council. So they're getting much more creative than I would have been at that point. In 2017, our department hosts a Culture Days Roundtable, encouraging groups to join in and apply for funding from SaskCulture for themselves. So you can see how creative I am there on the left-hand side. I'm using the same look and feel, and it's all very wordy. And there's also a concert. The flag raisings were replaced with enhanced proclamations, unfortunately, so we couldn't do anything more festive or more obvious there. And with the SaskCulture website, it said that Big Brothers Big Sisters received hub funding for that too. 2018, this is still me, you know, trying to get people, artists, groups, organizations involved and interested. And it's still 3 days. When do you think harvest might be in an agricultural community, hey? But there was 2 hubs funded that year. One was Big Brothers Big Sisters, and the other one, another player came to the table, Godfrey Dean Art Gallery. So Katie Miller gave a free concert and vocal harmony workshop at the Godfrey Dean Cultural Center, the historic land titles building in town. In the the top one there, that is actually a free big band concert at one of our dealerships. People were starting to get very creative with where they were putting programming. So Larry, he is also involved with the Yorkton Community Band. They had a big band concert, all that jazz big band, a car show for Culture Days. And then Big Brothers Big Sisters hosted a 1-day program, and it was held in not a cultural center, but one of our big player CBOs, Society for the Involvement of Good Neighbors. So that's 2018. 2019, there were no activities that I could find. But there again, we know everything changed. So in 2020, the Sunflower Arts and Crafts Show was canceled for the 2nd year due to COVID. Shortly after that was announced, a crochet dying sunflower appeared along the fence, and it was actually Tanya Vermette that did that. What we're looking at here, though, is a broader installation that she did when I approached her about that is so neat. I talked, and it was just that bent over little sunflower with the leaf falling out from underneath it. But that piece provided the inspiration for our first Yorkton Culture Days hub. I got on. So in 2020, the community's hurting, things are shut down, people are getting disconnected. And I said to my boss, we have to do something. This is community. And he said, well, figure it out, Lisa, you can do this. Okay. So I phoned Lisa Hodnefeld from SaskCulture Lotteries and talked about our community grant. And I said, I want to get money into in the hands of the artists. The artists, culture workers build community. She said, well, great idea. Figure it out, though. Find a partner, and you can do this. So as soon as I saw this piece, it's like, okay, let's partner with the Yorkton Arts Council, and we started doing actually sidewalk concerts. We couldn't have in-person concerts, but I could hire artists. Tanya could find them through her connections, pay them car-fac rates, get them out doing concerts in people's driveways. Nope, I didn't say that. It was on municipal property on their sidewalks because it's a municipal program, and get people out listening to music, singing along. So Yorkton Arts Council, they changed how they did business also. So knowing that I had a partner, a strong, steady person, with Tanya, when I saw this, I said, can I commission you to do more? She said, sure, not a problem. And then I also got on the horn to Shelley and I said, I want a yarn bomb, a huge fence down our main drag. And we started spitballing about Culture Days funding and hub. And so it's like, okay, we need more than just Tanya. Who else can I bring to the table? So that's when I brought this person in. I'm not an artist. I'll own that. I also know to be a good manager, to make projects work, you hire your weaknesses. Angelina Cardinal is one of our artists in the community. She refused to come with me. I did say I'd take a little stick with her head on it as my wing person. And she sent me this picture. This was not her first interview. This is, I can't remember what year this is, but her first job when we hired her as a Culture Days coordinator to get in and talk to artists. I talk to organizations. Angelina knew where the hidden talent was in our community that I don't see, but that's her world. So that was a big win for our community, hiring Angelina. And her first interview was actually in her bedroom over Zoom, because it was all virtual at that point. And nice thing is, COVID happens, and so Culture Days changes to 3-week celebration, because they're trying to get as many people involved and knowing all the cool things that are happening online, all the changes in programming that people are doing already. How do we extend it? How do we incorporate that into Culture Days? So they extended it by 3 weeks, which is glorious. Glorious. So she's an artist. We get hub funding. That's what she does. She does all our marketing now, all our advertising. She is kicking it out of the park. So the stuff you're seeing now from here on, it will be hers, and it's nice stuff. So she connected with her artists, the peers. I connected with the groups. She developed our hub logo, brand, and online marketing plan, our social media presence. She had, yesterday she was at an event with a Culture Days table, and she's made postcards with QR codes about how to get more information, because she is wanting to talk to people about what's important to you. What would you want to tell somebody? Are you interested in being involved in Culture Days? Can you teach something? Can you explain something? So she came at it from a totally different way, which I love. So with that first yarn bombing, and I got funding, I got a heck of a lot of yarn. Thank you very much, SaskCulture, in order to get this done. There were artists that Yorkton Arts Council hired in order to do some yarn bombing, but then they also added on some other events. So I'm just going to actually just say some of the events that were already, that were incorporated into it. We have a local artist, Kelly Litzenberger, who of all things is a sculptor with Lego. He's done some commissioned pieces, and he works with the Godfrey Dean Art Gallery. So this is where I start thinking, I know the organizations, but the people in those decision-making places or the governance places, they themselves have skills, abilities, talents, artistic, they're creators. So when I was talking to Kelly, I knew that he had been a graphic artist. He was an editor of a skateboard magazine. And then he shows me, oh, by the way, I made this Lego thing. Are you kidding me? How did you make that? Show me how you make that. And he did an online tutorial about how to build a building. If you take a picture of it and how it all, like how to order stuff on the Lego website and stuff that just I don't get. But the next year, the kids at Dr. Brass, their academy, decided they'd go and find buildings in downtown Yorkton, some of the heritage buildings, follow his instructions and make some pieces of our downtown. How cool is that? There's Book Spine Poetry. The Saskatchewan Library Association has an event they try and promote every year. It now happens during those 3 weeks. We're so fortunate that Culture Days happens at a longer period of time now. So the library incorporated that. They came to the table. They became part of our hub. I took a look at the resources, the tours that we have as a municipality. We have brochures about tours. We have public art on display. Can we talk a little bit more about that on Culture Days? We have an interactive tour. It's online, you can see it, but the real cool thing with our interactive tour, hire a summer student who is recent, holy smokes, they come up with some amazing things. She went downtown Yorkton with a camera and interfaced what she was seeing with archival footage of what had been there. But then she says you need to be there in person doing it and looking, because then you get 3 instances of in time. How cool is that? But we promoted that for Culture Days. We've had more uptick by people just being, armchair tours, which is okay too. So that's part of the yarn bombing. And here's the under the sea piece of it. There was moving pictures. It's an on-demand screening of video works. It's not pictured here, but I couldn't find all the hub photos of it. On-demand screenings of video works by Saskatchewan artists accessed through a free augmented reality smartphone app paired with an AR-enabled posters at public locations. So this was something that the art galleries throughout Saskatchewan were doing, and we had that, it was an option at the Godfrey Dean Art Gallery during COVID. So it's part of our hub. Books with Brenda from the library. She had started an online book club. Let's amplify that. Let's get you brought into the fold and start thinking more about what you do, what organizations do on a regular basis. We aren't talking, you have to do something different now. Maybe switch the timing on it, but let's start celebrating what it is Yorkton has to offer. There was an online exhibition, an artist talk that the gallery hosted. They changed their timing so it could be included in our Culture Days Hub, which is, it makes total sense from my perspective for whether it's businesses or organizations or the cultural institutions to just shift their programming a bit, because it's free advertising. And it's Angelina that does the advertising. So it's good. It's not like the stuff that you saw earlier from me. She does a heck of a time because she works outside of the restrictions in our municipality when it comes to social media. She has Yorkton Culture Days Hub or Yorkton Culture Days on TikTok. So see, she's reaching a whole other audience. There was an autumn walking tour that somebody did, you know, come and walk 6 feet behind me, but let's go take an outside tour of what there is in Yorkton. A fall story time in the park where the public library took their story time to a nicer setting than maybe their parking lot where they had been holding it earlier. Let's get them into one of our spaces or nice outside spaces. Writer held Writing Barefoot, infusing play and purpose into your writing in an outside space. So this was the entire, this was a yarn bombing. It didn't go as far as I told Shelley I wanted it to get because I wasn't the one doing it, right? It was like one of those things. You can do it there, you're Tanya, but she said, let's do this, Lisa, and then I'll help you out with some other stuff. The Golden Sheaf Awards is an annual event that happens in the end of May. For that year, they actually held it online. They did a heck of a good job. They also registered it as one of our activities for the hub, so people could go back and see who won these awards. There was the Royal Canadian Legion had installed banners of veterans. They had a virtual tour and also a hosted tour of somebody just going down one of the blocks to say the significance of each one, because each one's up there, but it takes time to go online and find the story. So it was the story of it. Somebody would actually articulate it. There was the Photography Guild held a come together, here's a thing, like a hidden theme, here's the hidden theme, go out and take pictures of this theme and then come back. We're going to print the photos, make a collage, a semi-collective artwork, but not because it didn't stay. But this yarn bombing was the first collective art project. And then another artist said, you know what, Lisa, people need to come together. She came to me, asked if I could fund it. I said, absolutely. Her idea was to paint a picture of two hands shaking, different colors, but big chunks of color, and to also have markers available so people could write down what they were seeing in that artwork. It was beautiful. It all uplifting, gratifying, beautiful words in downtown park in Yorkton. I made the mistake of trying to find it a permanent home and brought it into the Gallagher Center in order to safe keep it until we could reach a decision. Municipalities don't reach decisions that quickly. Within 2 days, the hockey kids had thought, oh, I need to write on this. And they just made such a mess of it. So that was one of the bruises, is collective artwork not being respected. Okay. So 2021. We had 28 activities here. That yarn bombing got a little bit different, and it actually, you'll see it, I have a video here. We also had another collective art project. The same artist came and said, you know, okay, I'm not doing a big mural. But I'm going to teach fairy houses or encourage kids to do fairy houses. And then there's a nature walk behind the Gallagher Center. And that'd be a really cool thing for people to take pictures and upload it. Absolutely. Everybody loved it. It was one of the best attended activities we had, and it lasted a week before somebody went through and wrecked it all. It's probably the same little buggers, those hockey players, hey? Mhm. Okay, so with this one, it was a 2021 we had in person, and it was almost a hybrid still at that point. And there were a series of videos created by the East Central Newcomer Welcome Center. And this is when East Central Newcomer Welcome Center became its own standalone nonprofit. I was a founder on that board. Larry, they're looking for board members because I'm stepping away. And they went to their own staff and had them talk about their cultures. So they have a whole series of highlighting the cultures present in our communities, what they said. There were TP teachings that were online, just global story time. This is when it starts. The library started looking at other things to do too. Okay, so this is, oops. There we go. Big change in how we're marketing now. This is Angelina. So see, in 2022, we hit the top 10. We were number 5. And I think part of it really had to do with the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Thank you, SaskCulture, and probably more so Dean, for ensuring that that gets incorporated into Culture Days. There were already events happening. And so I was able to work with the Yorkton Tribal Council and say, you know, we'll bring you into the fold. We'll bring you into the fold. Okay, but after talking with Shannon, she said, yeah, Culture Days, SaskCulture was really insistent on this, which is a good thing. Very good thing. Then last year we were top 2. I was surprised. We were, because we were just doing what we thought we should do. However, this also was the year that we had different artists come to the table that hadn't come to the table before. We had African and Caribbean live music, an open mic. I met the musicians as part of the East Central the East Central Saskatchewan Immigration Partnership, and just talking and getting to chat and know people. And turns out too that he can read music in a certain way. Sofa. He also met with the Registered Music Teachers Association through another workshop that he did. On the Yorkton District Community Foundation, I'm chatting with a new board member. Turns out she's a physiotherapist, and she asked what I do, and I'm talking about Culture Days, and she goes, jeepers, I'm Nigerian, and I keep having the kids over and, talking about the stories and making sure they don't forget their culture. Do you think people would be interested in that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Mogbo Moya. She's doing it again this year. It was one of the most popular ones, where it's a celebration of Nigerian culture, food. She's doing an engagement party, a mock engagement party this year, where we make our own swag. She's going to have to turn people away, I think. We have the Parkland Filipino Association found an artist, because I was talking with people at the Central Newcomer Welcome Center. I don't want to know about I kept telling them, they challenged me, what do you mean by culture, Lisa? I said, I want the artists that you know, the artists that have moved here that we don't see at the Arts Council, at the Godfrey Dean Art Gallery. I want those people to show us. I want them to shine. I want a chance for them to be involved in our community. We had Megha Patel, henna artist. She sold out last year, so to speak, too. Oops. So this is last year. That's all Angelina doing that again. And her big project was the Wings of Gratitude. We had wings on that from northern BC all the way to the East Coast. We had our partner come to the table when we thought our library was being moved and our place to do programming was going to be unavailable. So we approached, I thought, okay, maybe the mall can give us a break. They gave us a huge space for free. And she is responsible for mall in Fort St. John, BC, and then also one in Antigonish, I think. And so she had her colleagues also through CT REIT. It was a team building exercise for them to send in some of these wings of gratitude. It was lovely, lovely. So I'm missing one logo here with Tourism Yorkton, but this is kind of what we started with way back when I could find stuff. This is where we are right now, and these are the organizations, but we also have multiple individual artists, my colleagues that found out we have published authors that were willing to do things too. So it's expanded, and knowing now that we created a desire, especially through Culture Days, when we found out that people were showing up and had to be turned away. I thought, this is culture 365, you know, it happens year round. And there again, following what I've seen on culture with SaskCulture, we developed our own. Angelina again coming to the table. We had a Jamaican cooking, needle felting. The artist for henna, we brought her in also. The photographer Shannon Erickson, who is part of a national exhibition too. She's done a workshop. So our calls to action look a little bit different now. This is what we're doing. Hosted two get-togethers, and the question we posed to them is, why is it important to celebrate arts and culture? And these are some of the creators: Tanya, Maria Cole Gale, who's with the Jamaican cultural events, Tanika Walker, who I mentioned before with Yorkton Film Festival. When I was talking with her, she goes, I can teach Jamaican cooking. And now she is an avid supporter of this. But this is a piece though, like they all said why it's important. And then Carrie Penkilly. We've seen dramatic changes in culture days in our community. And she captured it big time. So part of my presentation is to go talk about the bumps and the bruises. So I actually just decided to do something that we all can relate to, our wonderful roads here in Saskatchewan. Potholes. We still get people saying, I don't get it. Culture days, I don't get this. Angelina still says it's like selling vacuum cleaners door to door. We're trying to make inroads with people and say, can you host something here? Why? Why would we do that? Why would I change what I'm doing? It's going to cost a lot of money. We need funding. Word got out, damage to collaborative art projects. No, not touching it. People won't like my work. They're going to damage it. But who's responsible for that event? Sure, I'll do something, but can you set it up? Can you tell me what to do, how to do it, where to do it, and do all the marketing? This one I love. No, we don't need anybody else to see what we're doing. We don't need any more members. We're just fine, thank you. Another unique one, I think, has cropped up lately. This is one event. They market it a little bit differently. The Yorkton Business Improvement District, since this will be their 3rd year, I think, 2nd or 3rd year of doing culture, of doing June days. 4 Thursdays in June, they have a park party and they partner with the East Central Newcomer Welcome Center to program it. And it was referred to as cultural days, culture days in June, cultural days, and they call it June community days or June multicultural days. So we took a look at this, and actually now we have boots on the ground on those specific days with Angelina going out and promoting what culture days is. It's different. It's not consumptive. To me, this June community days, it's very much people can buy the food and see what's going on the stage. There's not a whole lot of two-way exchanges. That's not what's happening. But then also through the Multicultural Council of Saskatchewan, I was connected with Teresa Strahan with Folk Fest. So I could help the East Central Newcomer Welcome Center kind of push the boundaries with the organizer of that event to say, we want to do games, we want to do crafts. So it's like, yay. It's not just Yorkton residents sitting there being entertained anymore, because we're deeper than that. We need to be. And that's what I'm hoping to do this year for Culture Days. Is I don't care about the numbers. We haven't been recognized by our council yet of how we've reached certain recognition in our community. So maybe if I don't get it up to 2nd or 1st, well, I'll let the Flin Flonians kick it out of the park. They did that before. But I want to create the connections down now. We have enough seeds out there. We've grown our capacity in terms of the creative people, the artists in our community. They've been identified. Now we just need to connect them underneath, and then they can grow this way too. I think I made it under my time. Any questions? Oh, shoot. Okay. This one. Okay. Angelina says that she's not an artist. She just makes stuff for fun. Angelina has been contracted to do pieces of specific art for things, but she considers herself a maker because her profession, she says, I'm an EA. I'm not an artist. So that's, I think, to include the people that think artists are just professional. Like you have to get paid as an artist. First question, what was your second? Oh, good. There's only two. Yes. Are you sitting with Larry Perrin? There used to be. There used to be. And Larry would be able to answer this when he's just at that table there, Les. There used to, Yorkton Regional High School, we did a whole heritage display about going to the Rose Bowl, the regional high school marching band. Larry was the person that got them there, yes. And I think it was just last year or the year before when Mrs. Zawatsky got into our community, it kind of got revived. Since COVID, I think they've done it twice, but Larry would know. Yeah. No, actually, I'm not. I love Flin Flon. I got to party with the Flin Flonians at the Creative City Networks. Yeah, they're a tremendous municipality. They invested a lot into culture. They sent 2 counselors and 2 municipal workers. They had the best representation there from any municipality. Mm-hmm. Probably Yorkton too. Yeah. Oh, he's saying no. Oh. Yep. Oh. Yes. For culture days, I use Carfax rates. We don't have policy for paying artists because we don't have a public art policy within our municipality. When I'm also responsible for the Sask Lotteries community grant in our community. And when organizations are contracting artists, I strongly recommend that they use Carfax rates. Whether they do or not, I have no control over that. Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Oh, and yes, for sure. And I'm fortunate because in my title is community, so I tend to scribble outside the lines. And I think I also baffle some of my colleagues that are sport and rec as to what we do. For instance, if somebody sends a proposal that they're going to do X, Y, and Z as a sports clinic, they'll say, okay, that's a volunteer. They said 200, let's pay them 200. I received a micro, because with our Sask Lotteries funding too, we're able to leverage it and pay micro grants to our artists, and it's a $500 micro grant. And I tell them, pay yourself first, tell me what the supplies are. If you need wiggle room, come and see me. So I received an application recently from the new arts administrator with Yorkton Arts Council, Abanti Banerjee. She's internationally trained. She has her master's in dance. And she is going to do a series of workshops, 3 of them, 3 one-hour workshops specifically. And I can see the potential for this because she says, I want working women to understand what sutra is. Yeah, she's from East India and it's a certain type of dance. If you get a chance to go on YouTube and find Yorkton June Days, her husband put together a promo video on YouTube and she's in it. And I wanted to tell her, do it for Yorkton Culture Days, but they're doing the June Days programming on the 20th. Her grant, she's so excited that anybody's interested, was to cover rent. And so I phoned her back and I said, I'll cover rent. Don't even put that on there. You're getting Carfax rates. And she says, no, I want to show people, I want to share what I have. And I said, that's great, but you're going to get compensated for it. I don't have any colleagues here that can tell me I'm not towing our policy, our internal policy about pay whatever they ask for, even if it's too cheap. Because I know she brings more than just, I want to keep her in the community. I want to pay her what she is worth. And that's part of it. But no, there's no written policy aside from a municipality saying pay the cheapest rate you can get, right? If they volunteer, even better. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Lisa. We really enjoyed that, and it's great to hear how a small community can become so important